Types of joints in human body. There are two types of joint. One is synovial joint, another one is non-synovial joint. Non-synovial joint has two types: fibrous joint and cartilaginous joint. Usually, non-synovial joint, there is no joint space between bone to bone. It was a connection. If this connection formed by fibrous tissue, it called fibrous joint. If this connection formed by cartilage, it called cartilaginous joint. This fibrous joint.
Fibrous joints are immovable joints that does not produce any movement. There are three types of fibrous joints. One is suture present between the skull bones, which are sutural in pattern. The second one is comphysis present between the tooth and the jaw socket. The third one is syndesmosis present between the radius ulna, tibia and fibula. The interosseous membrane connects these two joints and there is no movement occurring in this joint.
What is cartilaginous joint?
Cartilaginous joints are slightly movable joints is of two types, symphysis and synchondrosis. Symphysis joints are interconnected by fibrous cartilage. Example, symphysis pubis and intervertebral disc. Whereas the syndesmosis joints are interconnected by hyaline cartilage. Example, first sternocostal joint.
What about other sternocostal joint?
Other sternocostal joint present with joint cavity. So these joints comes under a plain variety of synovial joint.
Synovial joint, what it is? When there is a space between two bones and it was not connected to each other, it allows more range of motion. It called synovial joint, and this joint presents synovial fluid inside the joint. It allows the range of motion smoothly and reduce the friction between the two bones. Synovial joint has three subtypes: uniaxial, biaxial, and multiaxial. Uniaxial has two types. One is
Hinge joint.
another one is
Pivot joint.
Hinge joint is like a door hinge. It allows only one-way movement like this. Example, elbow joint and knee joint.
Pivot joint also provide one-way movement but in rotational plane. Here the cylindrical bone rotates within a ring-like structure formed by bone and ligaments. Example, radioulnar joint and atlantoaxial joint.
the biaxial joint also has two subtypes. One is
Ellipsoidal joint.
another one is
Saddle joint.
In ellipsoidal joints, if both the articular surfaces are elliptical in shape, the examples are wrist joint, metacarpophalangeal joints and metatarsophalangeal joints of foot. Almost it looks like ball and socket joint, right? But it allows only two planes of movements: flexion extension, abduction adduction. It prevents the rotational movements because of the elliptical articular surface.
but people used to say wrist have rotation, right? Some rotational movement, right?
Yes, of course, it allows circumflexion by means of doing all the available four movements.
Okay.
So basically, saddle is a type of a joint in which each joint surfaces of articular bone has concave in one plane and convex in another plane. They both joint surfaces fit into each other like a rider on a saddle. The prime example of a saddle joint is first carpometacarpal joint.
Multiaxial joint has two types.
Ball and socket.
Line joint.
The ball-like head of one bone moves on the socket-like depression of other bone. It produces movement in all planes. Example, shoulder joint, hip joint.
When two flat surfaces lie across each other, it's called line joint. It also has multi-directional movements, one standstill, front and rotation. Example, acromaclavicular joint, intercarpal joint and metatarsal joint.
Super.
Hope this was useful. Don't forget to chat with your friends.